any idea how long that might take before we take any other decision?
Well, the big decision on it's going to be before any other continued resolutions or anything done on the funding end of it. The investigation, like I said, we wrote a letter to the Department of Justice today. That first tape came out, and we've already started the process, but the funding thing is really the key mechanism. The investigations will roll on, and they will happen. I can't give you any time frame really, but the important thing to watch for when you're watching the news is like they say, follow the money. And that's what our goal is, to cut off not only, like I say, the money to Planned Parenthood, but we need to cut off any abortion provider from getting taxpayer dollars. I mean, I've got a real problem if you want to kill babies. And I've got a bigger problem with it if you want to use taxpayer dollars to kill babies. But we've got, I mean, this whole thing has to do with getting someone in the White House and getting help in the Senate. And we can, I mean, I hope, I'm 60 years old, I hope before my time's up that, you know, the doctor said when you hit 60, don't buy green bananas, you may not have time for them to ripen. So, you know, but when my time's up, I hope before that day comes that is the main thing that I've accomplished in my life is doing away with abortion. The fact that you can kill people, and you see people murdered on the news. There was a high-profile murder yesterday. People murdered on the news all the time. And everyone's always aghast at how it happened or whoever it was. But, you know, you can take someone that gets shot in one of these theater shootings or whatever it is, or someone that gets stabbed to death or whatever it is, and say, well, they were only 24 years old, or they were only 30 years old, or they're only 16 years old. But there's so many thousand babies every day that are not born, never have a chance to be 24 months old, let alone 24 years old. And that it's repugnant. I do not, I mean, I know some people, you know, have an opinion on abortion and then later they'll change it or back and forth and whatever. Since I was a senior in high school, I mean, just 1973 graduated high school. 1973 was Roe v. Wade. And from day, like I said, it was just, I never have understood it. Maybe I'm a slow learner, but I don't understand how you can do that. And we do it willy-nilly, free will. Someone who was telling us today that they'll do ultrasounds. They'll come in and do ultrasounds so they can see when they can abort their baby. But who else? Yes?
Representative Long, I appreciate your dedication to the protection of life, but I'm curious, what are you working on right now to help alleviate the suffering and the deaths of the thousands of Missouri residents that have no access to affordable health care?
That have no access to affordable health care.
As myself, I'm in the gap. I'm a master's student. I'm a single mother of two, one with disabilities, and the job that I work at does not offer any insurance, so I fall in the Medicare healthcare gap. So I'm curious what's going on right now that you guys are doing to cover that gap in the state of Missouri.
Well, we're working in the Energy and Commerce Committee, which I'm on the healthcare subcommittee, and we're working on an alternative to what has been going on right now. But I'd like to, if you can get her information, Jake, we can talk to her offline. But as far as the gap situation and see what exactly where you fall, because and so the Medicaid, you say, is what you're on?
I make too much money to qualify for
Okay.
Missouri Medicaid, but I make too little for the healthcare market subsidies, so I'm left with nothing. And like, I know you understand, you have a daughter that she had to have lots of procedures, and in my case, you know, I've had studies that need to be done, lab work, and I don't have insurance, and I don't make the money to do that.
Okay,
so
okay. Yeah, I'll be glad to talk to Jake and talk to you in particular about it. And yeah, we had a friend that was younger than me, but she had children in my children's class, and she got a real rare form of cancer, and God bless her, she lived for 15 years fighting it, but she had to go to Little Rock and get specialized treatments. And I did a speech on the floor one day when she was sitting in the chemo chair, because they were talking about dropping the doctor. They wouldn't let her go down there anymore when all this came into play. So yeah, it's like you say, especially someone who's been through my situation. I was flying to DC one day, and the older daughter was out there with the younger daughter for her chemo that day, and I get land, and first text message is, where's the treatment center and they won't treat us. My insurance is no good. Her Affordable Care Act insurance, so that was a pretty harrowing day, because you know when you get on those treatments you have to stay with it. You can't just willy-nilly say, well, I'm going to do chemo for, you know, three times every other week, 3 times. And then today at lunch we were in Stone County at their Table Rock Chamber meeting, and there was a young lady, a sophomore in high school, there in a wheelchair. And she's had, I went over to talk to her when I found out her situation to kind of relate what my daughter had been through, but she just got finished up. She missed all of school last year, didn't homeschool or anything, missed all of school, came back this year and is caught up somehow. But she had 2.5 years of chemo for leukemia, and she was there today in her wheelchair. So there is a great need out there, and everyone, you know, we need to get everyone taken care of. That we don't need any gap people. You know, we need people that can get treatment. Yes.
I realize we were told that, you know, Republican committee members should be the first to ask, and so I'm going to admit that I'm jumping the line here. I'm Krista Stark. I'm the chair of the 7th Congressional District for the Democratic Party, and I have a couple of questions for you, because you are always so good at personal stories, but I feel like the facts are lacking. You've told us how wonderful your staff is, and I know some of your staff personally, and I know that they are wonderful people. But I have called your office multiple times in Washington with issues that my constituents have come to me with that they cannot get help from your office about. And I'm always told, and I identify myself as chair of the 7th Congressional District, and that I need help with this problem for a constituent. I'm always told that they will look into it and get back to me, or that you will get back to me, and of the 6 times that I've called, no one has ever gotten back to me.
Okay, I will get back with you, and I will look. We have an IQ system. When someone says they have contacted our office, if you have, and if it's been 6 times, it will be in there. All 6 will be documented, and I will get you the answers of what happened, because that should not happen.
Because I would appreciate a little professional courtesy. My constituents come to me when they can't get contact with you, and then I try and I don't get a call back either. And so it makes me believe that they really are not getting the contact back from me. But I also wanted to ask you, your personal story.
Do you email, or do you?
No, phone calls. And I'm told someone will get back to me.
Okay.
Your Washington office.
Yeah. Okay.
Ariel asked a question about the Medicaid gap. And you've spoken many times about how we need to take care of everyone, and everyone needs to be taken care of. And I hear these personal stories, but I'm not hearing any facts on if you were to repeal the ACA, what you would replace it with. So we'd like to hear some specifics tonight on what you would suggest as a plan for replacing this healthcare plan that you seem to hate so much.
There's a lot of things that we have talked about, and there's a lot of things in our committee that we've worked on as far as coming out with an alternative. And some of the things like selling insurance, you've heard that's across state lines, and it's not done now. If you sit down to watch TV in the evening and you turn on the television, the first 5 commercials are going to be about car insurance. We can sell you car insurance cheaper than the other guy. Do you ever see a health care ad for buying cheap health insurance? No. And so selling across state lines, they're letting kids stay on till 26 is a good thing. But these pools, letting companies pool together. The Missouri Manufacturing Association had a group pool that had worked great for years of people. Yeah. That small employers, maybe they had 6 employees, maybe they had 106, but they didn't have enough of these large, and they had pooled together. And when the Affordable Care Act started coming in, they told them that they could no longer do that. So there's things like that need to be done. As far as I know, Jim Talent has worked extensively on these large pools and being able to pool together. So
there's an official plan then in the works.
Pardon?
So there's an official plan that Republicans are going to have, that they're going to come out with, that details the things you talk about and other mechanisms for how people would pay for the insurance.
That's what, like I said, would pay what?
What we're asking for is an official plan that would actually replace the program of Affordable Care Act, because
so you want to replace the Affordable Care Act?
I don't want to replace the Affordable Care Act, but since you guys seem to want to replace it so much, I'd like to improve the parts of it that have issues. Since you seem to want to just replace it,
we have done a lot of that. So.
We'd like to know the plan of what you would replace it with if it were repealed.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I